I kind of learned how to do it from Instagram, but yeah, no.
That was a worthwhile endeavor. I mean, we could probably just yell there, but you tell them to shut up.
Listen to really loud on the speakers.
What?
Listen to really loud on the speakers.
Oh, that was pretty good.
It wasn't the best.
All right, can everybody quiet down? You know, we're having fun. Can anyone whistle really loud? No? Hello, everybody in the back. Everybody.
If everybody breaks out in a song,
I bet everyone's gonna start like dancing. Yeah. Stare you awkwardly until you quiet down. All right, hey. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. The last startup happy hour of the year. We'll take December off and everyone enjoy the holidays and then kick back off in the new year. Got some big stuff coming, hopefully, in the new year. If anyone made it to the High Design Innovation Week and the event we threw at the beginning of the week, it was a great time. And we're looking forward to doing much more of that, as well as all these kind of monthly meetings going into 2024. This place is growing based on who we have here. We might end up looking for a bigger space next time. But on that note, we don't want there to be any space constraints. So if you know anyone else who should be part of this group, please let me know. If you're not a member of our Slack channel, let me know. Shoot me a message. I can add anyone. You can add anyone to the channels as well. But just really great to see everybody here and see this community keep growing. Wanted to get to it because we actually have 3 presentations today. 3 kind of new products coming on that are looking for some feedback, you know, at different kind of stages and maybe looking for different things, but really looking for some of the expertise in this room and some of the feedback, and I'll let them get into what they're doing. So thank you to our sponsors. There's too many of them to name, but the big ones for tonight, Uptech Studio for giving us a space, and Deschutes Brewing for being a really good partner to our community. I just kind of re-upped with them for the new year, so we should have Deschutes beer all through next year. So yeah, if you get a chance to go to their brewery, take their tour, do whatever, and call us out so they keep giving us free beer. It'd be great. Besides that, yeah, I don't have much to say, so let's get into it. We're going to kick off with Dean, and then we also have Ryan is going to give a pitch, and Christian is going to give a pitch. So without further ado, give it up for Dean.
all right. All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Is the volume decent? All right. In the back, Mark's got me. Okay. So yeah, my name is Dean, and today I'm going to be talking about my company, Pilo, which is, in my opinion, the future of financial planning. I hope you all agree at the end of this. So to give you some backstory as to who I am and how this came about, I work as a financial planner. That's my day job. And I saw time and time again, people would come across my desk and they needed help, but they didn't fit the ideal client for me. So I was only able to help them in a limited scope. And that was honestly not a great feeling for me. I didn't love that. So I was trying to find a solution that I could refer them to that would be a good fit for them. And I really actually tried very hard and I couldn't. So that kind of landed me on this idea of, well, maybe there is an opportunity here to build a product to fit this need. And I started doing some more research on it. And it turns out between the ages of 18 and 41, 71% of people indicate that they either want or need financial advice, but they don't know how to get access to it. So most often they're turning to friends and family or digital resources to get that. And to give you context to that demographic, the median income in that range is anywhere from $35,000 to $65,000. So even if they do find themselves searching for a qualified professional to give them advice, they're going to spend about 2 to 14% of their annual income just to receive that financial advice. So that's where the problem really lies, is the accessibility for those people in that demographic. So I believe that the solution is to build an affordable financial planning platform directly for consumers. easy to use from your home. And we call that Pilo. Within Pilo, we plan on building a financial ecosystem that ties all of your financial decisions together so you have the ability to see exactly what you're doing at every given time and how they all tie together. So like, as an example, if I were to want to buy a house in 4 years, how does my current debt pay down strategy impact my ability to do that? Or if I want to max out my 401k, am I going to be able to afford my child's college tuition in 14 years? Those are the kind of things that people are asking every day and they need an answer. And if they're not going to qualified professionals, then where are they getting the answer? So you're probably thinking, Dean, you fool. There are so many fintech companies out there already. There's a plethora. I can name 100. There has to be one that does this. And I wish that was the case because then I wouldn't have to put in all this work, truthfully. No, so I have actually segmented out our competitive landscape into 3 different categories. The first of which is the online retirement planning platforms. And so the most popular is Personal Capital. It actually just recently switched to Empower. And then there's also Monarch Money and Saveology. Those platforms offer retirement planning and some budgeting, but it's pretty limited in their scope. And it's not like you're able to get a comprehensive plan from that. And the hybrid financial planning space, they actually offer the full gamut of solutions. So if you wanted to get all of the needs filled, you could go there. But again, they're the same price point as a normal financial planner. So they're not going to be able to target that same audience or at a price point that they can afford. And then the third segment is the online investment banking budgeting apps. You guys have all heard of them, Mint, Quicken, Rocket, Betterment. They all focus on an individual thing, very, very specific. So it's either budgeting or it's, investments or whatever it is, right? But they don't have a comprehensive solution. So up until this point, I haven't been able to find anything that does that at an affordable price point until now. So we're building out that platform as we speak. And the difference is that we're going to be able to allow planning for all financial goals, not just retirement. We're going to be able to integrate your budgeting and your debt management into that platform. And then we're going to be able to give suggestions for you to optimize your plan and maximize the success of your financial goals so you can actually hit them the way you want to. And we're going to do that all at a price point that everyone can afford. So at our core, we're building this for our end user, which is the consumer. So we're building a consumer product and we plan to launch it through 3 channels. The first of which is direct to consumer. That way we can get good feedback and really hone our market for what we want to build for the product. And then we're going to offer it through employee benefits by partnering with employers directly and through benefits package providers. And then thirdly, we'll partner with large financial institutions to do direct integration with their platforms. So our first target audience is the consumer. We're focusing on people aged 20 to 44 with an income over $35,000 and a net worth under $500,000. And based off of 2018 census data, that's about 36 million people in the US. So we estimate that the size of that market is about $6.5 billion. And we believe with our current resources, we can get about 742 million of that. The enterprise market, on the other hand, is, as I mentioned, segmented into 2 different sides. So there's the employer and the institution. So for the employer-sponsored benefits, we're going to target mid-sized businesses between 50 and 5,000 employees. That's about 250,000 businesses in the US. And then on the banking side, we're going to focus on banks and credit unions, which I don't know if you guys knew this, but there's almost 9,000 individual banks and credit unions in the US. So we estimate that the value of that market is $639 million, and we believe we can obtain about $79 million of that. So these are our financial projections for the first 5 years. Ignore the first 2 years. No, I'm just kidding. So we believe that by year 5, we can probably reach revenues of $9 million with a gross margin of 72% due to our software as a service model. And as I mentioned before, we're going to focus very heavily on consumer subscription for the first 2 years so that we can really hone our product. So by the time that we go to launch our enterprise product, we have the solution that every consumer wants. And if you're wondering what we're going to charge, at our core, this software was built to democratize access to financial planning. So we're always going to have a free product. If anyone has a need for financial planning, they should have access to it, and money shouldn't be the barrier. But we are going to have services that allow people to upgrade their plan to have, better benefits or features that they want. And then we're also expecting to receive affiliate revenue by partnering with banking and insurance companies, and then the enterprise revenue that I mentioned earlier. So we started this project in March of this year, and we developed our MVP and tested that out in September. And since then, we developed the V1 using the feedback that we received from the MVP, and we're looking to finish the testing. So we're actually about to start the testing next week for the V1, and then we hope to finish the testing of that by the end of December, and then launch our paid to consumer product in January. And from there, we'll spend the next 6 months honing the V2, developing strategic partnerships, and then in March of 2025, we expect we'll be able to launch our enterprise product. So this is our team. I mentioned that I have a background in financial planning. I also have a background in sales. My two co-founders, John and David, they're not here tonight, sorry. They're both software engineers, and John has a background in education, which there's another component to this app that has an educational piece to it. And he also has a background in institutional integration. So great add. And then David has a background in database structure and advanced mathematics. So I think that the three of us are really well positioned to bring this product to market. And I'm very excited to see what's coming next. I appreciate all your time today. And we have about 20 spots left on the beta test. So if anyone thinks this product sounds cool and wants to test it out, just shoot me an email and I'll get you on there.
So real quick, besides joining the beta test, like what is the point? What are you looking for? What are those next steps right now?
I just want people to tell me it's a good idea. No, I mean, truthfully, we don't know exactly what route we're going to take as far as financing. So, I mean, introductions to angel investors would be wonderful. Just starting the conversation would be great. Again, users, beta testers, that's really what we're going right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So based on that feedback, questions, shoot.
I think she was first.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I love the idea, but I wanted to hear what makes your platform more affordable versus like the other platforms that are out there.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess it's a comparison of service versus cost. So if you look at some of the platforms that are out there now, I should probably stay on this so I can still talk to people. If you're looking at the services that are out there now, if you want the same level of service that we're going to provide, you're going to be paying thousands of dollars per year for it. Versus there are free products, but they're not going to do what we're going to do. So I guess that's the differentiation there is, to have the level of service, we're by far and away the cheapest option there is. I should say most affordable, not cheap. It's going to be nice.
Is that like AI based, an algorithm, or like are you actually getting human contact to like help with this type of
Yeah, it's all algorithmic right now. So again, the advanced mathematics guy was very helpful with that. So it's all algorithmic based right now. There is no need for human contact. If our users tell us that they want to have financial coaching available, then we can definitely steer that route as we get the feedback. You had a question earlier.
Comment and then a follow up to what you said.
Yeah.
When you had your market slide up.
We'll pull it up.
I'm not in that industry. I'm not in financial services.
Yeah.
It took me a little bit to that one. It took me a little bit to realize you're not talking about revenues. I'm like, well, that's the hell of the revenues. But you're talking about assets under management, I think.
No, that is actually total revenue from the available market in this space. Yeah.
Wow. All right.
And you're not doing an asset under management type platform.
No.
You had shown very little equity sales, so to speak, at least on the pro forma.
Yep.
What do you think you're going to need to raise to get this off the ground?
Probably the first year we're looking at $300,000 to $500,000.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And beyond that, it cash flows.
Well, we'll see. It's all pro forma.
Over here. So are you actually providing any recommendations, insurance or investment wise, or just saying you should save more and pay off more debt?
That's a great question. So to that point, we walk a fine line in the financial services industry where it's a heavily regulated industry. And so the SEC specifically has, they have rules in place to where if you offer advice around investments, even just allocation of general securities, they will not allow that unless you're registered. So no, we're not going to be doing any of that. We are going to be telling you exactly which type of account you should be saving into each year based on what your goals are, how old you are, and when you want to hit them.
You mean 401k versus Roth, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you break it down, it's tax deferred, Roth, and taxable. Yeah, but we're not going to tell you how to invest it. So like whether you invest in real estate, coins, or the stock market, that's not up to us to decide. Yeah.
So are you guys gonna be a robo advisor?
No.
Yeah, you're okay. And
No,
then
we're not
just
going to do any investment management.
One other piece of feedback, I can't read any of that.
That's on Kyle.
It was just this one, the size of the font, and two, the color contrast.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
sorry.
And then basically another shade of white.
Okay,
So like,
that's good feedback.
And like the text, just less is more in every text on slides.
Okay,
So
thank you.
What's your most strategic partnership?
You mean as far as the one I mentioned earlier?
Your business. Who's the biggest one that has your back or is interested in the outcome of the company?
I don't know if I fully understand the question. Can you rephrase it a different
It
way?
seems like you're cannibalizing big players' revenue streams.
Yeah.
So they're going to squash you if you get good enough.
That or buy us out, one of the two.
Or yeah, but so as you go through the journey, you need to have someone that has your back.
Yeah.
So you put 2024 as when you work on strategic partnerships. I would start thinking about that now. Find out who benefits from this within the ecosystem
Mhm.
versus starting to nibble on them. Because what you need to be is an enabler, an accelerator of a business line that they've not thought about. And you're going to help drive because you're so small.
Right.
It hasn't been proven yet. If you can enable their customer base or a fraction of that base, even if that generated $1 million, $2 million ARR,
Yep.
they're going to want to see you succeed versus they're going to want to squash you.
That's a great point. And that I agree with you, actually. So I guess to that point, now that I understand, I think the biggest enabler, the biggest strategic partner will probably be the banks and credit unions because they all have wealth management branches and they do a crap job at marketing them, truthfully. So if you look at their websites, if they had a lead to advisor approach that was all digital, that they could, offer as a comprehensive integrated solution, I think that would probably be the
I would
answer
do
to that.
now than a year.
That is good. That's good advice. Thank you.
I think you said your target market was between 35,000 annual salary and then under assets of $500,000.
Yeah.
What's your strategy? And that's a big range in my mind. And all over the country, different demographics. So
Totally.
what's your strategy of average, getting those people to sign on to this?
Mhm.
And how would you prioritize? Because there's a lot of different groups
Yeah.
within that large range.
100%. Yeah. And that's actually probably the biggest challenge that we're facing now. So if any of you are marketing professionals out there that want to give me a call after this, I'm happy to have a conversation because that's really where that's not my strong suit, nor is any of my partners. So, but we do have a few ideas. There's certain social media channels, specifically Reddit. There's a whole group of people on Reddit. There's 750,000 people just in this one financial planning sub thread. But no, to your point, it needs a bigger scale than that. So I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah.
But thank you.
It's a big challenge.
It's a big challenge. Direct to consumer is challenging. Okay.
Is your target user families or individuals?
We're going to have an option for married filing jointly or single filing, so it doesn't really matter who they are. It'll be either or.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
From someone that does a lot of marketing, I would say you can avoid direct to consumer. Avoid it.
Yeah, that's what I keep
Spend
hearing.
your first year building partnerships.
Yeah.
Then launch direct to consumer.
Okay.
Especially with your sales background, right? 'Cause that's,
Yeah.
That's a skill set you have on team.
Yeah. Thank you.
I was just gonna piggyback on what he said, because it's a trust, right? They gotta trust you, they don't know you.
Yeah.
It's all about trust, and so in the B2C market, it's challenging from that perspective in a financial, because I'm gonna trust you, something to do with my money.
Yeah.
I don't know you. So.
True.
Second would.
So establish a trust partner, basically. I like that. Thank you.
The credit unions are the most accessible.
Mhm.
Use that to build those partnerships.
Mhm.
Find one that has 2 or 3 branches that needs help generating leads.
Mhm.
Use your product to help them achieve that.
There's one across the street right there.
Yeah, there's a few here.
Just so.
Yeah, I say, on top of that, just the value of your algorithm is improving in that respect too. So if you can find somebody to give you some third-party kind of validation, run some models, whatever it is, get some social proof or just academic proof based on what your math says, that'll be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, and piggybacking off that, I mean, and just everything they said, there's no reason, I know the whole point is for you to get feedback on the product and help lock it down, but there's no reason you can't do bootstrap D2C, not spend a bunch of money, maybe spend a little bit, but at least get a couple hundred users that you can just do with free ads and somebody's going to click on it to at least get feedback. You don't need 100,000 users to get feedback necessarily. You can start small, do it for free, not spend a ton of money and time and effort trying to go the D2C route while also building the partnerships.
I like that idea. Thank you. You want to jump? Okay.
I was just going to recommend a book, The Cold Start Problem. Have you read this?
No.
Yeah, I think Andrew Chin. It's about kind of establishing little atomic networks where this type of stuff can kind of organically grow to get a user base.
Okay.
It's really good.
Thank you.
All right, one more question.
Anybody?
So when it comes to user experience, you want users to experience value as quickly as possible. It seems like you're taking a lot of use cases. What's like the top win or top 2 wins that you're trying to get people to experience so that you get them retained and coming back?
So right now we only have a financial goal planning tool in place. So we're starting with the bare minimum, which we think. So we did a survey of not a lot of people, but there was like 60 people in the survey and they were all in our target demographic. And the most common response people wanted as their top pick for current financial need is establishing an action plan for their financial goals. So we chose that as our starting point. And so we basically built that out right now. We do not incorporate debt management. So yeah, we're going to be building that out over time. It's not like we have it all ready to go right now. So the financial goals planning is the first value driver right now.
Yeah, and just be clear, like you're so early, you shouldn't have all use cases figured out. So just be really smart with your time.
Yeah.
And don't listen to friends and family.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Dean.
Thank you.
All right. He is in the Slack channel, so if you have any more questions, hit him up there. And if you're not in the Slack channel, come find me and I'll add you. Next up, Ryan, talking about platformer. Yes, you can kick me off. Stop sharing. All right, sweet. Could I send you?
Do you need me to send you the camera? You could just do it. What are you gonna do?
Slack? No, I was gonna just. You have Slack up?
What's that?
You have Slack up? I sent you a StreamYard link. Yeah, plug it in. And then arrows on that just work.
I can just use the. You're the one that did not want to show up.
All right, everybody. Settle down. Big. All right, let's give it up for Ryan talking about platformer.
All right, thank you. My name is Ryan Cummingdeer, and yes, thank you. Okay. A couple disclaimers, mostly for Kyle for last comment. I just hired a designer Monday. She cried when she saw these slides, so they have not gone by any professional UI UX designer. It's more of my note taking because this is the first time I'm actually talking about this publicly. So you guys get to be my guinea pig on bouncing off ideas and going from here. So platformer, it's in a beta product right now. I've been working on it for about 6 months, hands-on keyboards. I've been brainstorming it for about 4 years. So it's definitely been under mental development for quite a while. I'm Ryan. I'm the CEO at Platformer. I have 2 other co-founders. They are not able to join me here tonight. I'll talk a little bit more about them when the slides go on. And there's no pretty pictures. It's all heavy text. So, and I'm basically going to read the slides because that's how bad I am at presenting right now. So the problem. So this is to get back up a little bit, this is a problem with Amazon Web Services customers only. I'm not talking about Azure. I'm not talking about GCP. I'm talking about AWS only, which is the cloud provider out there. So the problem that I'm going to highlight, and I'll tell you how I found out about this problem a little later. But the problem that I've identified here are that customers are not building out a proper infrastructure for their whole company to be on AWS successfully. This is a lot of times it's an afterthought, and which means a lot of times they have to redo their kind of base platform, their base infrastructure, their base governance of all of their IT infrastructure and their applications later down the road when the security compliance team says you screwed up, go build it again. So we're solving that problem. I worked at a managed service provider for a while, and a managed service provider basically watches your IT infrastructure in the cloud. That managed service provider really struggles trying to get all of their customers on the same platform so they can consistently and efficiently manage all of your guys' environments on the cloud. At the MSP that I worked at, we kind of hand-rolled our own version of best practices that we tried to get all customers onto, but not very successfully. So what that means is we couldn't accurately monitor them very well. We couldn't get visibility on their costs very well. Security was all over the board, which was then always the customer's fault and everything MSP's fault. So MSPs struggle with that. Software development companies. I worked at a software development company for a little over 15 years, consulting company. We built out Sprint 1 for every single one of you guys in the room that were my clients. Sprint 1 was, we're going to build you an AWS environment. We're going to build out our CI/CD pipelines, the way to deploy out your applications. We're going to build in the base security compliances that we're aware of now and your backup strategy, right? And then we're going to check it off, call it good. Because we're a software development company, we don't know any better. It's now somebody else's fault to go manage that and make sure it's compliant. So we built out thousands of Sprint 1s. There are also 200 plus AWS services out there right now. How many of you guys can say you're an expert in all 200 plus of them? There's a lot and they change every day. And so it is hard to be an expert in 200 plus services out there. And if you're a small company, so if you're less than like 30 engineers, it's really expensive to hire a full-time DevOps, site reliability engineer, security engineer, somebody that can manage that infrastructure for you. It's just hard to put that in a budget when you're a smaller company. So that's the problem we're trying to solve. The solution, and yes, this is ugly, but this is what I did on PowerPoint. So we have AWS down there at the bottom. I used the gold from AWS. So it's branding approved. So Platformer is the next 2 layers from the bottom. We have a foundational model or a foundational module that basically sets the whole organization up for success, an AWS organization. And then we have 8 modules based on what the customer's preference is on what they need. And they can turn them on and off later in their life, later in their technology life cycle. We are also not the one-all solve-all problem for everything in AWS. So we have a partner ecosystem, and that's the little purple boxes up there. So for example, if you are working at CrowdStrike, which is a security company, you would be working with our vulnerability module. If you're looking at Clumio, which is a backup and disaster recovery partner, they'd be looking at the backup modules. Financial management would be looking at like Cloud Zero. So there's a number of ISV companies out there that help solve people's problems on AWS because AWS doesn't do everything for you as well. So that's a lot of our base modules as well. So we have 8 of those modules and then the foundation module. Our solution is a SaaS application. It goes anywhere from $75 a month all the way up to $2,200 a month. So that's kind of the range based on which module you choose. And they can start off with a foundational module. In fact, a lot of our current clients do. They're like startup companies, and they're like, I just need to get something out there on AWS in a development mode. So we charge them $75 a month for the foundational model, but then it sets the framework in place for all of the other things that they can add later easily. So that's that. And then a lot of times the managed service provider will work on top of that, and then your customer applications on top of that. So examples of our target clients, what they look like. So they're typically companies that need to build on AWS, or what the more popular use case is, John, trying to focus on a single use case, is customers that have built on AWS in the last 10 to 15 years. And the best practices have grown so much, the technical debt in their environments have grown so much, they basically want to throw away their old AWS environment and move over to, like, migrate to a new AWS environment. So both those use cases are ones we're trying to solve. Brand new to AWS or migrating from old technical debt to new AWS environment. Tech companies that have 1 to 5 development teams that don't have that expertise in-house, and teams that are just looking for best practices in general that don't have that baked in and don't want to pay a partner to do that for them. So why us? I like this slide. So we're 3 co-founders. To pat myself on the back a little bit, we're rock stars in the AWS space. So we've got experience leading the well-architected framework from Amazon's perspective, both as their premier partner in the partner space, but also me individually worked on the well-architected team as their principal architect there, leading best practices. Those best practices are telling companies how to build on AWS. I've done over 500 plus well-architected reviews. A year ago, I was the single individual that did the most in all of the AWS space. That's probably got second place now, but I won't see who that is. So anyway, I've done the number 1 of the well-architected reviews. That means what I do is I go in and look at your application in AWS, and I say, wow, you need to fix this, this, and this in order to be compliant or to follow best practices. So you can either save more money, you can be more secure, you can be more reliable, you can go faster. All of those type of topics come up during those reviews. And over the last 500 reviews I've done, the consistent problem people have had, remediation items. So the way to fix their problems is to move to another AWS org to set up best practices at the governance layer. And so that was a consistent problem they had. My co-founder and I actually built out AWS's multi-account strategy. So I know not everybody in here is AWS experts or technical, but you can have an AWS account, like one account. You can also have an organization that has multiple accounts. One of my co-founders actually built out that for AWS, and that was his strategy and background on how that got created. We built out thousands of custom applications, always doing sprint 1. We've known what we did well and what we did wrong. I have a partner here that did he led the AWS Cloud Foundations team, which is best practices for how to move to AWS and how to measure your spiritual maturity, or not spiritual maturity, technical. Wow, you didn't realize AWS got into that world, did you? Yeah, it's AWS and God right there. Cloud Foundations is your technical maturity and migration best practices for AWS. We've moved a lot of people to AWS. I have a partner that also is on the professional services team, and he built out hundreds of applications. And he worked with other like software consulting companies and management consulting companies and built out that framework, that foundation layer for them as well. So we know what we're doing. We are 3 engineers, and I'll get to the ask here in a little bit. And we obviously don't have a designer yet fully on board. So what's that? Clearly, yes. Competitors, it's interesting. I'd say our number 1 competitor is actually the individual DevOps consultant guy that tries to you hire and build out yourself. So our revenue model, when we compare it to people, are like, well, you can go out and hire somebody for $120,000 or pay us $20,000 a year. That's kind of our competitive difference there on the pricing. We have 2. I'm sorry, this is really small font. We have 2 main competitors out of here: Gruntworks, which is 100% a Terraform shop. And then Stack Zone, which also builds out what they call a management platform. Both are completely different experience and different audience. Gruntworks, to use it, you have to be a Terraform developer, and you have to be good at Terraform to actually understand how to use it, which is one of the problems we're trying to solve is not everybody has that expertise. And so Superworker is open source. There's no support community there. Scale Factory is just 100% a professional services shop. So they'll just build it out for you based on what you want, which is not a SaaS-based model. Size of market. There are 1.5 million customers in AWS right now. Of course, if we get them all, then we're making about $15 billion a year. We'll be doing okay. We're not going to get them all. So let's look at just the new companies that are starting this year. So the new companies that are starting this year is about 100,000. You add that 100,000 that are brand new to AWS, plus you add in the other 150,000 that are migrating from an old account to a new account. So you're adding about 250,000 accounts. If we get all of those, that'd be about 1.2 billion a year in our average SaaS monthly subscription there. But realistically, pessimistically, hopefully, let's get 5% of all new customers. So let's get 5,000 customers a year. That's for the brand new AWS customers. Let's also get about 5,000 of the customers that are going from old to new. That should generate about 61 million in revenue for us a year. Our distribution channels. We've already partnered with one MSP. They are going to roll this out to all of their customers over the next 3 months. So they're going to get all of their customers start using a platformer as an underlying infrastructure there. We are partnered right now with a software development company, a really small one. We're looking for more software development companies that we can partner with and help them get rid of their Sprint 1. We're partnering with our other ISVs, other software companies out there like Cloud Zero, Sumo Logic, Splunk, Datadog. Where did you previously work again? Like Bitnami or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, any AWS partners out there, and then any company that is helping companies launch or get ready for growth. And so any type of investment company that can go in and say, hey, I just invested in this startup company called Symphony, and they need help with their infrastructure so they can grow and actually support what they're doing. So, sorry, I'm picking on you guys. What I need help with. So I took off the designer off this slide because we just hired that person Monday. But sales, biz dev, channel partnership expertise. We definitely need a lot of help there. I've run a couple companies in the past, but I've always found a good partner that helps me lead that part of it. I'm looking for some board of advisors, so people that know the MSP space, know the software consulting space, are in the expert or in the industry of the cloud infrastructure best practices, and then of course other ISVs. I'm looking for board members to help me out and give me some advice there. Of course, looking for beta customers and just for referrals in general. So I talked fast, but there we go. Eric beat you. Eric.
Are you a product or are you a service?
Product.
So you're a product.
We are 100% product, self-serve. The customer can go to the AWS marketplace, press install, and go from there.
Yeah. So the reason why that's a really important question is because you did a lot of work selling your expertise. That's a human. So if you're a product, you have to embody and somehow automate you and your founders into a product.
Absolutely. That
is, unique, and that if you're, having a vacation, the product can continue to grow or learn or change or adapt. So I'd love to understand how you're going to take you out of the equation with your product.
So it's a good question. Like I spent 2 years at Amazon writing white papers, getting me out of the way. So did one of my co-founders, writing best practices and documenting that. Really what we're doing is taking those best practices and actually automating those for our customers. So we are writing, for those of you who are aware of infrastructure as code, our deliverable is infrastructure as code, configuring AWS for the customer. 100% automation there. Yeah. Kyle?
I mean, he said it much more eloquently, but I was going to ask the same thing.
Yeah.
And just following on, I mean, so there's going to be no human interaction? Are you not going to provide those types of services at all?
So we
do have a service consulting kind of your little provider on the back end?
So just today, I registered a professional services offering as well, which means we will have consulting as well, but it'll be consulting on how to implement this solution for them, and education as well. So there'll be a small piece in there, but we intentionally are wanting to make that a smaller revenue slice. But that also helps us bootstrap the rest of the product. So
just a corollary to mine. So you want to create the hook, the problem that I've seen is that you migrate your workload.
Yep.
Where's the and one? Where's the continuum? How do I continue to leverage? Is there an advisory that says,
Yep.
because the challenge I wrote down in the book here is you wrote down 200 services.
Yep.
There's 3 guys trying to maintain 200 services of best practices in your product that gets delivered as a service. So they're going to pay for this. They're going to pay more for the service than they're the one time for the product.
Absolutely. It's a monthly SaaS. We are constantly, as I said, AWS updates their stuff often. We'll be constantly keeping up to date on those best practices as well and deploying it out to the customers that are allowing that into their environment. I definitely hope I scale more than 3 people because I want to sleep at night. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you just answered that question of you're continuously shipping infrastructure as code to your customers
Yeah.
through SaaS.
Yep.
Is there other components of this? Is there any management layer or
Yeah.
community layer? Are they logging into those individual partner tools? And then follow on to that, are you selecting those partner tools for them?
We're in the process of that right now. There's 2 partners specifically that we want to work with that dominates that space. But in general, we're building out relationships. Yes, we have a web portal that helps them have a dashboard of everything they've configured, everything they've not configured, the drift. Like, okay, somebody has gone through and made some changes. Here's what the changes are. Are you going to apply that or not apply that? We're also providing a lot of expertise in the partner space. We are not being prescriptive on what partner they get to choose. We don't care at some level. Does that answer your question, Matt?
Yeah, it sounds more like you're building more of a cloud state machine then. Like you're trying
That's part of it, right? But really the biggest part of it is a bunch of CloudFormation templates or CDK, where we're configuring all of the AWS services to meet a governance, kind of a centralized governance plane.
Got it. Not multi-cloud. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
They might all be dead, but code schools might also be
Code schools
might be an interesting way to like those people need guardrails. They want to do things a certain way. Like that's
like actually coding schools.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Camps, things like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like those types of people because they'd be a great because you're trying to get a user in the platform to click on add this application to my account. So like that's going to be a tough person outside of the agency role. So codes. Yeah.
So for example, you kind of hit on a note there. So part of our foundational layer is what's called workload management. It's really easy with AWS to just create another account. But best practices say if you're a development company, it's not just one account. You need 5, right? You need to separate all your environments. So you need a development account, a testing account, a staging account, a production account, and a DR account, a disaster recovery account. And so we have a solution for a workload factory that basically says, here's all the accounts you need and how they work together. And then we also provide education along the way to say, this is what you use a staging account for. You do that for your load testing. You do it for security testing. You do it for your end user testing at the very end.
You guys are DevOps for boot camps. So I'm just
Okay. Yeah, I like that term.
I'm not a developer though, so I don't.
Okay. Claude?
What's the exit path? Like as you grow beyond, you can't afford a DevOps person, and you want to take it out of your platform. Is there an exit path?
You mean for our customers?
Yeah, or they better
Wow.
Never leave.
This has been such a tough conversation this week. So it's interesting you asked that. So what the exit path is for the customer is we are providing a lot of value ongoing, and that's what the monthly subscription is for. When the customers go to the Amazon Marketplace and say, no longer subscribe to this, they lose our portal, which means they lose the ability to manage and govern all of the things that we set up for them within an easy platform. They can go directly to the security hub. They can go directly to the resilience hub. They can go directly to AWS config and do their own stuff like that. But that means they have to have the expertise in-house.
They don't lose any of the configuration.
They're not losing.
Already set up.
They're not losing any of the configuration. That was a tough decision because one of my partners was like, "No, we're going to pull out all of this stuff." I'm like, "You can't do that." It's like we're going to kill that company. So, yeah, Kyle.
I know, but just for anyone else in the room who's wondering, what is an MPS?
Oh, MSP.
MSP.
A managed service provider. So.
Are you sure you know?
And then, so who is, so obviously this is geared toward developers that are coming and setting up something, or who is like finding this?
The ideal client.
The CTO that's like starting something up, who's.
Yeah, it's the ideal client that has a software development team that does not have the infrastructure engineers, like a site reliability DevOps guy, a security person, but they want to spin up an environment that will establish best practices that are infrastructure best practices and be able to grow that later without killing themselves on how they started the project.
Okay, so like a dev shop that is like spinning up projects on
Yep.
somebody and wants to.
Yep. So as I said earlier, like I've done about 1,000 projects, right? Websites, web apps, mobile apps. This would have been great for me. Actually, where's he? There he is. The guy who built all my DevOps stuff is in the back. So I'll have to get his opinion on what I'm replacing him is what I'm trying to do. Claude.
So you chose CloudFormation instead of Terraform.
We chose CDK.
You chose CDK.
Mm-hmm.
It's a programmatic version.
It's a developer's friendly version of infrastructure as code, yeah.
Okay,
Behind the scenes, it does CloudFormation templates, but you don't have to write CloudFormation templates.
But why is something that you could then take it to GCP?
Because our expertise is AWS specific native services. And so we're starting there because that's what we know. And so AWS by itself has enough market for us to play in, and that's our reputation, that's our contacts, that's our, there's nothing to stop us going forward at Azure and GCP, but let somebody else fund that, in a couple of years from now. So, yeah.
All right, last one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are these platform buckets set in stone, and how did you decide on those? And is content one that you are thinking?
That's a great question. We grouped together the common pain points that we've seen over the last 10 years with customer, what they typically are wanting to focus on. So that's how we group them together. We are 100% not so we are beta phase right now, right? I've got 5 customers on board right now, and I'm hoping to do 5 more by the end of this month. So I'll have about 10 by November. Out of this stack here, we built the foundation layer, we built the backups layer, we built the financial management layer, and the advanced networking layer, or module, sorry. So we still have, the other ones are still to be determined, or still coming, so.
Quick question. Do you have multi-tenancy of the data storage layer in your software?
Say that again?
Multi-tenancy?
Yeah, so it's interesting. One of our partners is AWS SaaS Factory team. So the AWS SaaS team, which is heavily emphasizing best practices on multi-tenant environments. So we're partnering with them, and that's the data management layer on best practices on how to do tenant isolation, like for security and reliability reasons. So.
All right.
We need to talk about that.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot to talk about. Ryan coming here.
So there's my help.
Definitely on Slack. Find him, hit him up. Use how many are you looking for? How many beta users, customers?
Hundreds.
All right. What kind of